Hello and welcome to The Untethered Minimalist. We're going to talk about what I call the soft life. The soft life is about moving abroad, and it's not just about the country that you'll move to or potentially countries. It's actually a lot more self-reflection. So it's a lot of psychology and figuring out a lot about yourself. So in this video, I'm going to break down my stuff or your stuff and how our stuff can get us stuck. This can be a big hindrance for people when they really want to move abroad, but they really feel overwhelmed, and even it's a daunting task to think about, what do I do with all my stuff? Like, I can't move abroad kind of a thing. That's the thinking. Okay, so I will explain to you simply how I did it, the blueprint that I'm offering to share with you. This blueprint is a way for you to simply see how someone else did it, what they did with their stuff, and then what you can do with your stuff. So if you're ready, let's go. All right, so the soft life in a nutshell is about ease. It's not about easy, because let's face it, life is life and it can be very challenging. But there are definitely ways that we can find more ease, more peace, and have a little more grace in our lives to simply just keep up with what we need to do, enjoy life, and not get overwhelmed or make decisions that are going to cause extra stress. So the soft life is a huge concept to really embrace as a lifestyle. All right, so we're going to talk about my stuff. I'm a very organized person, so you might be watching and going, oh, yeah, this isn't for me. I am not organized, so next. But I want to offer you some ideas about how you can be a little more organized or a lot more organized with your stuff. So what I did first, I was living in Los Angeles. I had a car. I was living in an apartment, and I had an opportunity to go abroad. There's a longer story to that, but that's for another day. So what I ended up doing first is I ended up simply subletting. I subletted out my apartment, so everything stayed as is, but I took the most valuable, precious, heirloom type things that were not replaceable, and I put those in a safe area in a walk-in closet. And the gal that I ended up subletting to, I just said, this is off limits, but she could use the closet. I just kind of put everything up above and put everything in bags and boxes, and she was cool with it. So that was really the first thing. And I bought a one-way ticket to Bali. So I didn't really do much with my stuff yet, right? I just kind of left it as is. And after Bali, I had an opportunity then to go on to the UAE, and I was in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So all together, I was gone like half a year. And the gal that was subletting was really happy, and we always talked about this agreement was going to be 6 months to start with. Okay, so fast forward, I get back to the United States, and I ended up staying in some Airbnbs because this gal decided to stay, which was great. So what I ended up doing is I went over to the apartment and I pulled all my stuff out, and I ended up moving it into a storage unit in Los Angeles. I got a 10 by 10 at that point, and I took the time to kind of make what I call a walk-in closet. So I had shelves and hanging units, so I could basically see everything. It made it a lot more easy. And I had some bags and some boxes of some more fragile things. All right, fast forward to when I took a job in China, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of my car, because at that point I had set up an arrangement with someone to have my car for while I was traveling back and forth. So now I was getting rid of my apartment, I was getting rid of my car, getting rid of my car insurance, but I still had my stuff. So I had this walk-in, what I call a walk-in closet. And then based on some other things in the future, after I came home from China and I was also in Thailand, I had an opportunity to move to the Middle East and live in and work in Saudi Arabia. And it was a 2-year commitment. All right, so this is where it gets a little more of a blueprint. So this is what I want you to take away from this video. It's not so much the biography. I want you to simply understand that it is definitely not about getting rid of things that matter to you, family heirlooms, that old like t-shirt or sweatshirt from college that you love, or even like trinkets, because keeping those small things that really matter to us, if we organically really want to get rid of them one day, that's fine. But if they have meaning, don't get rid of them. That's like my number one tip. Looking back, I wish I had not gotten rid of the dolls that were given to me that were my mom's. I was kind of in a hurry and I was taking stuff to a storage unit or to a donation. And in a hurry, I was like this like couple last bags of these old dolls. Anyway, don't do that. Don't make that mistake. Don't get rid of things that are precious that you can't replace, that have like memories or associate with your family or history. Okay, so moving along, what else in this blueprint can I offer you? The key here is being able to see your stuff. So when you come into this walk-in closet, you can see things. Things aren't in boxes, they're not in bags. And I simply went to a box store and I bought some strong and sturdy but inexpensive shelving unit, 4 and 5 tiers of shelving. They're all plastic. And then I bought hanging rods. And I didn't even buy the covered hanging rods. In the storage unit I rent, they're always air controlled. So, you know, they're cool in the summer and they're warm in the winter. And the air is really clean. I don't find a lot of dust, thankfully, on my stuff. But the key here is having like a 10 by 10 unit and the periphery is shelving, and then you can have the hanging units in the center so that when you go to the unit, you can pull the hanging units out into the hallway and then you can access your shelving. I'm a book lover. So book lovers, anybody? Book lovers? So for me, giving up my precious book collection was a non-negotiable. So on a lot of my shelves, I have a huge book collection. And then I also, for my travels, I have a lot of just like little things that I've picked up along the way that are important to me and have a lot of memories. And then I, of course, have a lot of photos. I have old photos and photo books. So anyway, the point being is when I do come back to the US, I literally go to my what I call walk-in closet. I open it up and I can go find that book I want. I can go find paperwork I need or want. I can go find a dress or a sweater or boots or a bag. So this works if you're single, this works if you're a couple, this works if you're an entire family. Obviously, you might need a little larger space to house more people, but I can assure you when you move abroad, you're going to get rid of your mortgage or your rent. You're either going to sell or you're going to maybe rent it out as a rental unit if you own. Or if you were like me, I was a renter, I was gonna just simply give up my rent. I have my rent abroad. So you might think, oh, I don't want that bill, but it's been a huge investment for me and it's saved me so much stress and anxiety because I know where my stuff is. And there have been a couple times when I've been back in the US and I've taken the time to kind of maybe tidy up or reorganize or restructure the clothes or shelving units. Because here's the other thing, if I come back to the US in the winter, I need my winter clothes. If I come back to the US in summer, I need my summer clothes, right? So trying to find those things in boxes or bags or bins or anything, like, no thank you. All right, so what have we learned here today? It's simply to be organized. And if you're not an organized person, this is such a great opportunity to actually go through your stuff and see what you really want or what you really don't want or don't need. It's a great time to go through all of your stuff and say, this is the donation pile. This is genuinely things that I want to donate. This is the trash pile. These are genuinely things that it's okay if I throw away. These are like my heirlooms or my special things that have a lot of meaning. I don't want to get rid of those. That's okay. Keep those over here. And these are just my practical things, my shoes, my bags, my clothes, etc. So first and foremost, understand that you look at your stuff, and your stuff is not what's holding you back. It's the overwhelm that you have so much stuff, and that this is a great opportunity to get a little more minimalistic. Not telling you to get rid of everything that matters to you at all, but just to clean house, literally go through your stuff and get organized. I took 3 weekends when I first moved abroad to Bali. I had 3 weekends back to back where I had garage sales. They were really like yard sales. And so I sold a bunch of my stuff. I advertised and I did it 3 weekends in a row. And I made a nice little chunk of money, but also I got rid of a lot of stuff that I didn't need or want. All right, so after you find this storage unit that's in a location that makes sense for you. For me, initially it started in LA, but then eventually I have no ties to Los Angeles any longer. And my parents live on the East Coast, so I moved my stuff from LA to Kentucky, where I grew up, where I have some family. But that didn't make a lot of sense, and my parents ended up retiring in another state in the South, and so I ended up moving my stuff, and that's where my stuff has been, my walk-in closet now for almost a decade. So that is huge, because then when I go to visit my parents, I am only literally a 5-minute drive to the storage unit. So it's very convenient. That's huge. You want it to be in a convenient place and also in an inexpensive place. So you don't want to be renting in the middle of Los Angeles or the middle of New York City, right? This just doesn't make sense. You want to be in an area where the price for renting a storage unit is less expensive. That's pretty common sense. And so you might have to look a little further. If your family or people that you're close to live in a city, you might want to look outside the city, is what I'm saying. And then go to a box store, and yes, it's a little bit of an investment, but you're going to buy the shelving units and then the hanging units. And I also have a couple like little plastic stackable drawers for the really small stuff. All right. Story time. Recently, I wanted to find these handwritten letters that someone had given me 20 years ago. They were like really special to me, and so I kept them. Guess what? It took me about 3 minutes, maybe 4, to find this envelope of all these handwritten letters that someone had written me 20 some years ago. And I had to think about it for a minute. I was like, where would they? Okay, yeah. And boop, I found them. So that is when I talk about this is less stressful. Maybe you need to find your taxes. Maybe you need to find certain paperwork. Maybe you need to find something specific. It's an incredible feeling when you just like walk in, there it is. So again, I hope this has been really helpful and starting to help you at least start to think about the possibility of moving abroad, even if you have an entire house full of stuff. Bedrooms, bathroom, garage, da-da-da-da-da. You can pare it down, and it might be a little bit of a stepping stone like I did. You might start with renting and keep all your stuff, like put all your precious things maybe just in one room and lock that one room, and then rent out your house or apartment, and then you do the next step. But I can assure you, if you take the time and energy to create a walk-in closet, so that when you do visit the US, your stuff is very accessible, and then you go abroad, it just feels very calm. All right, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you feel like team organized or team overwhelmed? Just because I am naturally an organized person doesn't mean that I totally know what I was doing in the beginning. I mean, I made all this stuff up as I go. So I'm giving you this blueprint for you to actually see what steps you need to take to do this. All right, so if you like this content, I hope you stick around, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.